Welcome. Happy New Year again to those of you who are just joining us for our early kickoff here in 2026 for our Beyond the Buy Box podcast. I'm super excited to have another conversation with John Moody. I think that's my favorite thing that I know about you, John, and being a musician and seeing your background and your experiences play throughout the music industry is really fascinating. You've also had experiences in building things from scratch, having to, lean on online marketplaces and reaching communities to bring visibility to the brands that you've touched in and across different industries.
Yeah, this will be a lot of fun.
Also, maybe we'll dive right in. And I know in an earlier chat that we had, you such a fascinating kind of first exposure to the world of open online marketplaces, Amazon in
Oh,
particular.
yeah.
And I'd love for you to share with our, community members, maybe in these early experiences, how you navigated starting something that didn't exist into growing something in a way and the learnings along the way in stabilizing brands that you've built.
Yeah, when I was at GHS Strings, we had a dealer network. That's how people bought things, but obviously tides have changed. The boss at some point realized that the winds of change had been coming around and everyone's always hoping they're going to be at the front end, but you're always playing catch up. So we had two options that we could do, and we went for both because at that point we've got nothing to lose. And we went to creating up our own online store, which was one way. But the other way, like you said, was going through Amazon and even trying to go through eBay as well, getting set up with one of those companies that will handle all the fulfillment for you. They'll handle all the ad placement. And we kind of tried to do that at the beginning too with Amazon, being like, great, we can do this. And then they'll take care of all the stock for us. It seemed pretty easy at the beginning because then it's like, okay, well, let's just start with our top 25 SKUs, the ones that we know everyone's going to buy regardless. And Amazon had a huge buy in for it, which everyone thought was going to be great. But, especially with Amazon, their whole model is based on efficiency. You start seeing all the chargebacks coming from it. From something as simple as this box popped open during shipping that cost us an extra 1 second of time to put it in the box, and now we are charging you back this much. So then suddenly we had one of our salespeople in the office contesting every single chargeback. When it started turning out that you needed somebody there that's really just on that. And then conversely, on the other side, as we're putting all these things together, you've got to start being like, okay, how do we enrich all the listings so we can start getting better placement? Then I get roped in a lot more on that because, okay, we need the most updated graphics we have for this. What can you give us? What can you give us in terms of content? Do we have videos that we could put by this? We could have easily just shot that whole thing into a separate job.
You're bringing me back to many times in my career in launching anything new, even if you have presence,
Hmm.
establishing a new rhythm on any marketplace, albeit eBay, Amazon, your own direct to
Right.
consumer site, there is always so many nuances out there. And if you were to fast forward, you have presence now on these online
Hmm.
places for shoppers and consumers to still find GHS strings. What were some of the big benefits, but also surprises as it relates to, things like I know you faced pricing challenges and you
Hmm.
faced, um, you know, keeping the marketplace quote unquote clean.
Yep.
What were some
Yep.
of the early learnings for you and some of the things that you found yourself kind of recentering, especially, interesting that you leaned on partners to also help you through this.
Right. Right. Yeah. And some of those partners, we very quickly found out that we could easily do it ourselves.
Mm,
That's one of those things you learn at the beginning too. You're trying to get it up and running so fast. You're like, okay, who can help me do that? And then you can start looking back and like, okay, now that it's here, what can we actually do? This isn't just with us, it's with like almost any industry, is that, your brand actually has a lot more buying power than you think. Because like you said, with pricing, we had two things we had to do. The first one was we, kind of had to get the unofficial blessing of all of our dealers. You know, we had to
mhm.
go to them and say, "Hey, the way that things are going, obviously you guys aren't selling as much. And that's just a testament to how the market's working. And we need to start doing online direct to customer. And we want to talk to you first. And everyone really understood. And we worked out a thing where we would still be a little above where everybody else was because we're not in the business of undercutting our dealers, but we still have to sell product. But because when you would go to the Amazon site, and I find myself doing this all the time when I'm on there, if I'm looking for something, I will look for that brand's marketplace. You could go on there and search for
Mhm.
GHS strings and find a ton of different things, but I would rather buy it straight from the GHS
Mhm.
marketplace because I know I'm buying it direct. And somehow that's started to turn into an unofficial bonus, maybe like a little more prestige, or you feel like you're getting newer product that hasn't sat on the shelves. And because of that too, people are paying, like a 5-10% upcharge just for that.
Which is fascinating. I completely can see and agree that in
Hmm.
the using your real estate and open space on Amazon or on other marketplaces to showcase and feature your products in a way that can command those higher price points. I'm curious, as time passed, because I have no doubt that navigating those conversations with your distributor partners, selling it directly to consumers, did you experience your partners also going onto these marketplaces and selling on your behalf?
Yeah, they were all on their way before we were, so we were already playing catch up to all of them too. At that point too, we really didn't have any sort of map pricing for anything. And that's where we really started struggling because all of the stuff that we would sell wholesale was all bulk discount. When you would have these dealers that just move in product all the time, they're getting, end column pricing and things of that nature. And then you've got the starter mom and pop places that can't compete with that. Like without map, one place can just put it like a dime less and the other place can't do it. But then you know how great Amazon loves that algorithm. So then you're just racing it down. So that was kind of one of the big things that helped us with Batu was the first thing we were saying was, we need to figure out a way to do this. And map pricing was the way to go. So it was a very long process in terms of data collection, looking to see what are our top SKUs, which is the easy part. But then, okay, where do we sit in the market in terms of pricing? Because obviously at the same point too, there's always that thing of you don't want to be the cheapest, you don't want to be the most expensive either.
Sure.
So it's like, how can we position ourselves in a way that we don't have to be on sale, but we can still get those people?
For having the visibility to where the current kind of pricing ecosystem is across your,
Hmm.
your portfolio, across the brand with various distributors, or unknown, unauthorized resellers. What were some of the things, in the internal organization having to,
Hmm.
kind of take a step back and bring your distributor partners along with having that visibility to the data?
Yeah, getting the distributors along for implementing a map policy was actually pretty easy because a lot of our competitors that our dealers would also be selling as well had already done such a thing. So they were already on board that way. And then also some of our dealers were actually nice enough that they would send over the map agreements that they had already signed from their competitors. So like if anything for us being late to the game on this was almost a good thing because at that point it wasn't a hard sell to the dealers, like especially the smaller
Mhm.
dealers loved the idea.
Sure.
The top dealers already understood this whole thing. Everybody on their end already has infrastructure in place to make it happen. The higher ups were great with it because as soon as I said this is how we could do it, they were like, just make it happen. It almost was one of those like, I don't care how much it costs, just make it happen. But I think it was some of our regional sales reps internally that are the ones dealing with the dealers that were the ones really kind of pushing back. And some of it comes down to very quickly saying, well, that's not how we've done it before. One of our sales reps, he was still thinking, well, if I went to a store, I would want to be like this, and this. And I had to sit there at one point, and I remember very vividly that, and I had to say very flatly, you're not the market anymore. It's one of those things, especially when we're so close to our product and our brand for so many years, it's really hard to realize that at one point when we were the target market, we
Mhm.
no longer are for the company to stay viable.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of thing of like, well, the market now demands this.
I think it's fascinating when you're paving new ways and having to shift. First, it takes a really bold kind of push, but also having, the data to back up, here's what we're seeing and
Right.
institutionalizing something new. I'm sure many of the community members listening right now are high-fiving you in pushing the agenda for
Yeah.
change, which is no easy feat, especially when, things have been in place a certain way, which
Mhm.
worked up until that point, and it often takes a little bit of an enigma and a trigger. I call those like spirited conversations. I'm like never
Yeah.
argumentative, but definitely spirited.
I mean, I'd say it was an argument at some point, but yeah.
Who am I kidding? We've all been there. We've all been
Right,
there.
we've been at that spot.
Yes, of course. If you've been and touch anything in the digital commerce world, there's lots of that going on. If you could, reflect on for those community members out there who are really ambitious to build brands, grow
Mm,
brands, and do it in a way that's healthy in these marketplaces, what kind of imparting advice would you leave folks? Like, here are the things that even if you've started, it's never too
yeah.
late to try these things. Like, what would you share?
Yeah, I think the big thing is really what are you selling? Because I remember at GHS a couple years in when I was really starting to push my ideas forward a little bit,
Mhm.
when I flat out told the president when we were talking about something, I want to do it this way because let's be honest, we're not selling strings, we're selling sound.
Mm.
The strings itself are just the wires. You're the one making the sounds. And as soon as we started twisting it that way, started really getting some bigger heyday. Now, as I'm with Kotobuki Seating, it's a seating company that you could ask somebody, well, what's exciting about marketing a seating company? And it's like, well, we just finished over the summer the revamp of the Delacorte Public Theater in New York. Sure, did we sell them seats? Yes, but we helped kind of create a newer, inclusive space with so many new modern amenities that blend seamlessly still into this outdoor iconic theater. So did we sell them seats? I mean, not really. We're selling this experience. We're helping them sell decades more of free Shakespeare in the park. That's the bigger thing is like when you're starting out, especially when you're trying to build a brand, what are you really selling? A lot of people will say, oh, well, you're doing this, it's a story. And I'm like, well, it's easy to say that. It's hard to actually get people to go along with it.
You're kind of re-anchoring us all back to at the end of the day, it's about the consumer and it's about the
Right.
experience that you're creating for the consumer and the power behind what you as the brand owner versus anyone else out there can't really do on your behalf. So I think it's really a powerful reminder and anchoring. And you're right, it is kind of thinking about the end of the day, what is it that that consumer is really going to experience as
Yeah.
a result of what you showcase. Fantastic.
Hmm.
Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for sharing the good, bad, and the ugly of your experience, including our discussion on map, which sometimes in some places can be a dirty word. So thank you again, John. It's been a great pleasure for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much.